Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to talk about something that many hearing aid audiologists worry about, CPD audit. Even professionals who have excellent records feel anxious when they hear the word audit. And the aim of today's session is to demystify the process and show that audit doesn't have to be stressful. And I'm joined today by Laura Ewing, an audiology colleague who's recently been through CPD audit, and she's going to share her experience with us. So our goal today is to explain what HCP audit involves, real life experience, and offer some practical tips. Zoe Perry, our BSHAA Ops Manager, is also joining us today. Thank you. So what is a HCP CPD audit? Okay, as many of you know, the HCPC requires us to maintain continuous professional development throughout our career. And each time you renew your registration, you confirm that you are meeting those standards. However, a small percentage, 2.5%, I believe, of professionals are randomly selected for audit. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It's simply part of the regulatory process to ensure standards are being met across the profession. It's a random selection and evidence of CPD required and focus on your reflection and your learning impact. So Laura, when you first received notification that you'd been selected for audit, what was your reaction?
I'll be honest, I did have that sinking feeling in my stomach that I think a lot of people would get when they get that letter.
Yeah.
I think it was more fear of the unknown. It's you work so hard to gain your registration and you do everything you can to stay compliant and do a good job, and it suddenly feels like it's under scrutiny. In reality, it's not. This is not, they don't do these to try and catch people out. They do these to make sure that we are doing the right thing for our industry and for our patients. But it just felt a little bit intimidating when I first read it. I then thought, do you know what, I'm probably in a good position because I was quite good at admin. So I had a spreadsheet, I had a list of all the activities that I had done and a little summary of what I'd read. So I was in quite a good position. But actually, when you read the audit requirements, it's not just about showing evidence of everything you've done. It's about making sure that you turn that into a reflection into how it's made your practice better, how that's then benefited your service user, so our patients. And that was the part that I think just took a little bit of time to get my head around the best way to present that evidence.
Yeah, and that's a 1,500 word piece of a document, isn't it?
Yeah. So what I done was, like, I had a list of all my activities I'd done throughout the 2-year period. I picked about 4 or 5 of them to actually expand on. So I didn't have to write in great detail about every single thing I'd done, but I picked 4 or 5 key ones, and then really wrote in depth about what I'd learned from doing that and how it had impacted my practice for the better. I think the key thing is knowing how to do that reflective piece of writing, and that can be the bit that I think is a bit tricky for some people.
It would definitely have been tricky for me. Reflection wasn't ever part of any of the education that I did, and it was, you know, many years ago. So learning to write a reflective piece, yeah, was tricky. Recently, in the last few years, had a student go through QMU and they were asked to do reflective work. So I had to look at it and learn how to do that. I mean, there are templates online. In fact, HCPC have got a reflective practice document that you can go and learn how to reflect, write a reflective piece. But yeah, for older HADs like myself, yeah, it'd be daunting.
Yeah, I think it's something that's definitely come into education more recently, and is a big part of a lot of courses now. So if you're newly qualified, you'll be in those habits, you'll be in that practice, you probably can get through this really quickly. If you're not, I think don't worry too much about it. Use those templates. That template you talked about, Jane, is a really good one. You can download it. It's a Word document, so you can edit straight into it, and it gives you prompts about what to answer that helps you turn that into a 1,500 word essay effectively. Once you get into the habit of that, it really helps. And one thing that can help do that is the CPDme app. It gives you little prompts to say, not just to record the activity, but what did you learn? And so you're starting to build those little micro habits of reflecting, okay, what did I learn? And actually, how did that benefit my patients? Rather than just, I read a journal about tinnitus. The little prompts will then make you translate that into which taught me this. And that means that this patient I was seeing actually benefited from that because I was able to give them this advice or change a program in their hearing aid to help with it. It doesn't have to be massively in depth. I think as long as you've shown the benefit, you're not having to go into a ridiculous amount of detail.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the CPDme app has been a game changer for me. And I would say this is the first time ever I've not dreaded being audited. I was just talking with Zoe before, and obviously I've been in private practice 28 years. And the fact that I've never been audited is, surely my luck's running out. But luckily, since CPDme, we have been using that. Yeah, I've got a great record, and like I say, for the first time ever, I'm not dreading it. I mean, I still think, I don't know how long did you think you had to pull it? Did it take you to pull it all together? Your profile, you obviously had your spreadsheet with your list of activities, and then you had to do this document that had to prove that, it benefited the quality and benefiting. So how long did that take to?
I think overall it did take me 2 or 3 days to do, just to translate into, pick out what bits I was going to use, and then I had the journals I'd read and the magazines I'd read, and I'd put a little summary, but I kind of went back into them and looked in a bit more detail at the ones I picked. So it did take me a few days, but if you break that up, you get a while to do it. The deadline for the audit is not, you don't get your letter and then you have to submit it.
You got 3 months.
Yeah, you get a while.
I actually thought before CPDme I'd have to actually take 3 months off work to pull it together, because
you wouldn't have been alone.
Yeah, Andrew jokes that you had all these this CPD in shoe boxes, and I was kind of like that really before I started recording it in the app.
Yeah, over the 3 months, you can just set aside 10-15 minutes each time and actually just build up something, so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to clear your clinic for a week, you don't have to worry about that. It's definitely something. We had a colleague who got called at the last time and had been using the app, which I have been preaching about trying to get people to use, but they stood up in front of all their colleagues and said, seriously, if you're not using this app, you need to download it now. 100%. It was a game changer. Zoe, do you want to tell people a little bit more about how they can access the app?
Yeah, so premium access to the BSHAA CPDme portal is included in BSHAA membership. So if you're having any issues accessing the BSHAA CPDme portal, do contact us at membership@bshaa.org, and we can just make sure that it's all set up correctly. But yeah, it's free access on premium access to all members, and it sounds like it's absolutely incredibly useful for preparing for audit.
Yeah, 100% it is. So again, you said there's a list. We should have a list, and you should be doing a CPD activity every month. But if you have got a gap of, you haven't done CPD activity, because they want to see a list and dates. So if you haven't done something for 3 months, they are going to ask questions, aren't they?
Yeah, I think what you're trying to prove is that you've done continual learning. So you haven't got your letter and then squeezed 2 years worth of learning into those 3 months, or you've not done it the month before when all the reminders start coming out about the registration. They want to see it's been something that you build into your practice on a routine. If you had a gap, I think if you had a genuine reason why you've not done something for 3 months, you were ill, or you had a member of staff off and you had to pick up some of their clinic work, or there was a valid reason why you've not done it, as long as you can justify that's why you had that gap, that would be accepted. I think if you had then a nice range across the rest of the time period of the 2 years that you could see you doing routine CPD, that's what they want. So you do submit that as part of your audit. You submit like your full log of evidence, and then that 1,500 word part that we talked about is more the in-depth part. But yeah, you kind of show that you've spread it out and also varied what it is you're doing. So it doesn't have to be that you attend an event every month and you go to a dedicated training program or anything. It's varied. So actually what they want to see is that some of it might be an in-person event, but you could listen to a webinar, you could have read a journal. Small activities can actually build in quite well to those reflections. So for example, you might have had a challenging patient in, and you've phoned the manufacturer of the hearing aids to get some tech support to go into programming software and how you could help them a little bit more to suit their specific situation. That can count as CPD. You've changed your practice, you've learned something, and you've delivered a better service to your patient. So something that you're doing as good care anyway actually could be a really good point for CPD.
Yeah, very much so. We just got to review the new joint document on deaf awareness, and so I quickly read that and I thought, yeah, this could, I'd offer some, do some training with my reception staff, and very useful for everybody. So things like that, you can read a document and then do a little bit of training. It only has to be a 15-20 minute training. Somebody contacted you the other week, Zoe, didn't they, about safeguarding? Okay, so when people do contact us, we do act on it, and we're going to look at doing some advising on some safeguarding training. But if you do some safeguarding training, write about it, because it all improves the quality of your practice. It benefits your customers. I think we're aiming to give you some CPD activity every month. If you go, we can find that in different places, can't we? So you're putting it in many different places for people.
So there's so we've got the BSHAA webinars, which you can join. There's a link to those on the website. We've got one coming up shortly, which you can join from the website to book. We've also got the BSHAA YouTube channel. So there's lots of different previous webinars that have been recorded and I've placed on there. You can come and join us at the Connect event. We've also got Spreaker podcasts. We've also got webinars on the CPDme Hub. You can read articles in the People magazine, and we've also got the Guidance Hub on the website as well, which has lots of different guidance on best practice, supervision guidance, safeguarding as well. So there's lots of different topics on there as well. So all those can count, and reflecting on those.
Yeah, and going onto the HCP website and reading, about standards. You read, some standards, and then you just, you take a standard 1 month and just read about it and write and reflect on how it's going to impact your practice. But if you ever want us to cover any topics, you only have to get in touch with us and ask us, and we'll look at doing some training. Yeah, we want to help and make this process as easy as possible and not as daunting as people think it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is, if you get your letter this time and you don't feel prepared, you will be fine. There are things that you can do to make it work. But the biggest piece of advice would be to be prepared. So we're just about to all renew our registrations. So we're going to start that next 2-year cycle. Don't wait until 2 years' time to then be thinking about this again. So start preparing now so that you're nice and confident like Jane is this time using the app, because it really changes it to something that is just part of your routine instead of something that is an overwhelming task.
Yeah, and I mentioned a little bit earlier that I trained a student. He's actually my son, but a student went through QMU, and I kind of told him, no, I did tell him, I didn't kind of tell him. I said to him, you have to do a CPD activity every month and you have to record it on CPDme, or else you're probably going to get struck off. So that's what he, so I think even if he was audited this time and 2 years after qualifying, I don't think he would find it quite so daunting. Whereas, somebody that has much more experience and probably attended much more courses over the last 2 years, because he's just been consolidating and has done very few external courses, but he has done a CPD activity every month and he's wrote about it on his CPDme app. So I think you're right, Laura, if we can get into a habit of doing that, and it shouldn't be a scary process.
Yeah. And this is a really good time for a reset.
Yes.
Just when we're just about to reset, renew your registrations, it's a really good time to, if you've not done it up until now, take the chance now.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. Well, I hope that's been useful to everybody. And thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.